Students, again I am here with the chapter which we are reading is air, atmosphere, air and atmosphere, right? This is our chapter 7, right? And in this video we have to study about the oxygen. We have to study about the oxygen. We have learned in the previous video about the nitrogen, right? So in this video we have to learn about oxygen. What is the property of oxygen? What is its physical property? What is its chemical property? Okay. Then we have also to learn here that can we make the oxygen in the laboratory? If we make it, then what are the processes? Right? So in your book it's given in very short form, but 5 methods are given, 5 different methods are given that we can prepare the oxygen artificially. That means we can prepare it in the laboratory, right? So before we should go ahead, let's have a recap that we have learnt in the previous video that air is a mixture and its composition is 98% nitrogen. We have learned the nitrogen, and then we have to learn today that is oxygen. 21% is oxygen, right? Then you know that oxygen is of 21%, right? It is very essential part of our life. Without oxygen we cannot think of our life, right? So it is one of the scientists. His name is what? Antony Lavoisier. Antony Lavoisier. He has also given a name of oxygen as an active air, right? Oxygen given name as an active air and nitrogen given name as an inactive air. And why so? We have learnt in the previous video that yes, nitrogen is of 78%, but we cannot use it directly, right? So the plants come in between, the plants make it protein, and then we consume it and then we get the protein, right? So this is inactive air. That is why the Antony Lavoisier, one of our scientists, has said that nitrogen is an inactive air, whereas oxygen is active air. Why it is active air? Because it is required of our life, requirement of our life. Without oxygen, we cannot survive even few seconds, right? Apart from that, it is also required for burning. Burning of fuels, we require oxygen. So this is known as active air. Okay. Then it is said that the discovery of oxygen. Let's read about a short about discovery of oxygen. So discovery of oxygen were done by Swedish chemist Carl Wilhelm Scheele in the year 1772, right? And at the before it is 1772, right? And in 1774, what happened? Joseph Priestley, as I have already said here, Joseph Priestley was also doing, you know that at the same time so many scientists are doing the experiment. So Sweden chemist in 1772 he has discovered. In 1774, Joseph Priestley, he were also working over the oxygen, and he has discovered that earlier oxygen is known as the compound, right? But by this we have known that no, oxygen is not a compound, it is a element. Oxygen is an element, oxygen is a gas, right? And this Priestley has discovered, given priority to the discovery of oxygen, and discovered that it is an active air, it is essential for our life, it is required for the burning, and many more. Okay, so at a time Swedish chemists were also working on the discovery of oxygen. Joseph Priestley is also working upon the discovery of oxygen, and Antony Lavoisier also working upon the discovery of oxygen, right? The year are different, 1774, then 1777, then 1774. Okay, so let's move that what is the occurrence of oxygen? Occurrence of oxygen means how it is available to us, to human being, how it is available, to the earth, how it is available. So it is available in free state and in combined state, right? Free state means oxygen is free, it does not have a reaction with anybody. So oxygen it is available in both the cases, free also and combined state also. In the free state, it is if we talk here, we are talking about the oxygen. So here 20% is oxygen is free, 20% of the volume is free, and 1%, right, 1% we found it in a combined state, in the earth crust, in the animals, and in vegetables, matters and all, right? So here it is how it is available to us, right? Then preparation of oxygen is given in your book as a 5 steps, 5 different methods. So that we will learn at the end of the video, right? So now we will learn further about the property of oxygen, right? So property of oxygen we will learn in 2 ways. One is physical, another is chemical. Physical method means physical method and chemical method. Okay, so physical means its density, solubility, litmus paper, how it will react, boiling and freezing and all. So in the oxygen is heavier than the other air. Oxygen is heavier than the other air. So that is why it is available on the, see here in this page number 122, you can see that is why it is available to the earth. When you go very high, and when the mountaineers go to the mountain, they have to take the oxygen cylinder, because oxygen availability is not there. So by this we clear that density of oxygen is heavier than the air. Okay, so oxygen is heavier than the air. Then solubility, the next point is about solubility. So the oxygen is very soluble, sparingly soluble, you can say, very soluble, right? And its solubility decreases when we increase the temperature. Why? Because again I'll give the example, like when you boil the water, right? When you boil the water, the taste of the water, cold water and the hot water is little bit different. I think you have feel that hot water is having little bit different taste and the hot water is different taste, right? So what happens, the gases from the water evaporate, that escape from that, right? So here it is solubility. The next is about litmus paper. I think you know what is litmus paper. It is a 2 type of papers. One is of red color, another is of blue color, right? And that is we use for testing of acid or base, right? That is, you can see it's very easily available in the laboratory, and by this test we can know that it is whether it is acidic or basic solution. So in the litmus paper, it will not turn, it is neutral, it will not change the color, means it will be neutral. So oxygen is not an acidic solution, it's not a acidic, right? Then about boiling and freezing. So boiling point and freezing point is given in your book. You can see that yes, oxygen, where is that? Here, oxygen liquefied at minus 183 degrees Celsius. Boiling point is also 183 degrees Celsius, right? Then freezing point. Freezing point is minus 218 degree, 218.4 degrees Celsius, right? So this is the physical property. About the density we have learned, about the solubility we have learned, that about the litmus paper we have learned, right? And then boiling and freezing point. So this is the how the oxygen will be visible, how its solubility is there, what is litmus paper and all. Then let's come to that how it will behave when reaction will be done. So this is known as chemical properties, right? So you know that air, in the air, oxygen is non-combustible. Non-combustible means oxygen does not burn itself. Oxygen will not burn. Okay. It will support the burning. It will help in burning. The oxygen is not going to burn itself. So that is the supporter of burning, we can say. Then the second, when oxygen react with a metal or non-metal, when it will react with metal, it will form metal oxide. When it will react with non-metal, it will form non-metallic oxide. Okay, so we can say that it will form oxides, right? Okay, so the next we have to see that the reaction of the chemical reaction of the oxygen, right? And as we have said, that is the respective oxides it will form. So according to that, the reactions has to take place. Reactions has to take place. Oxidation has to take place. Oxidation means when it will react with oxidation, when it will react with oxygen, so it is oxidation. When the substance will react with oxygen, that is known as oxidation, or you can say it is similar, oxidation reactions, right? So before we should move ahead, let me explain you so that you can understand what is ignition temperature. You must have seen that some of the substance catch fire very easily, right? Whereas some of the substance takes times to burn. So what is the reason behind it? The reason behind is ignition temperature. Ignition temperature. And what is ignition temperature then? Ignition temperature means the minimum temperature at which substance will catch fire. A minimum substance, a minimum temperature at which substance will catch fire. Okay. So according to that, the oxidation, we can say it, oxidation is of two types. Actually it's of many types, but in your book it is given as a two types. So it is a rapid oxidation, slow oxidation, spontaneous oxidation. One more I am giving you, so that when you will compare it, when you will learn something extra, then it will be very clear to you, right? So rapid, as a name specify, rapid oxidation. Oxidation means here the substance will react with oxygen, but rapidly. So it is rapid oxidation. So in rapid oxidation, what will happen? They will catch fire easily. Ignition temperature is less here. When the rapid oxidation takes place, heat and light energy will be released. Understood? Heat and light energy will be released. That is why when the LPG gas burns, when the kerosene burns, when the coal burns, when the petrol burns, so it burns very easily, very quickly. Heat is also produced, light is also produced, right? But in opposite of it, one more reaction is there, that is slow oxidation. Slow oxidation, as the name specify, the substance will combine with oxygen very slowly. So this is a slow oxidation, right? Here very less amount of heat energy will be released, but no light energy will be released or produced. So rapid oxidation example I have given you, burning of LPG, kerosene, coal, petrol. So this is rapid oxidation. Now slow oxidation, can you give me example of slow oxidation? Yes, rusting. Rusting you must have seen, when the iron, when you bring the new iron, it's very shiny. But as the time goes, you will see a brown coating over it. So what is that? It is a slow oxidation. Means combination of that iron metal with oxygen. So it is forming metal oxide. But when rusting takes place, very less amount of heat energy is released. No light is released. One more example of spontaneous reaction is respiration. Like you also respire, plants also respire, human beings respire. Okay, so in the respiration also, heat energy is produced, but when you respire, the light energy is produced. No. So that is also the example of slow oxidation, right? Spontaneous oxidation, or you can say reaction, is not given in your book, but you can understand that is that type of reactions where in rapid oxidations heat is required, light is required, right? Ignition temperature is required. In a spontaneous oxidation, it catches fire automatically, right? So some of the elements are like that they catches fire automatically. So what are that? When we will learn the metal and non-metal chapter, there we will explain it in a better way. Spontaneous oxidation means that substance which catches fire automatically. So that is why we don't keep it in the even in the open. We preserve it in a kerosene. What is that element? This is your homework, right? When we learn the next chapter, you have to give reply. A substance which catches fire without burning, right? That is why we keep it in the kerosene, right? That is one element. Which element is that? You have to tell. Okay. So student, move next now. So we were learning about oxidation, and here then rusting we were learning. So rusting, I have explained you already that when the metals combine, which metal? Iron. When the iron will combine, iron nail you must have seen. When the iron nail combines, so for the combines with oxygen as well as moisture, right? Oxygen as well as moisture, then what happens? A brown coating is there. So to not have a rusting, what we do? So to not have a rusting, what we do is we polish it. We polish that metal with different metal which does not have reaction with oxidation, with reactions with oxygen, right? We even polish it with different colors, paint it with different colors, right? So why? It should not come in contact with oxygen and water. So in this way it can be prevented. The next is oxidation of food. You know students, yes, all of us take the food, right? All of us take the food. But when the oxygen will not go in our body, we will not get any energy. I think in a biology you have learnt, right? So to break the complex food, what is required? Oxygen is required. Complex food, oxygen is required. Then carbon dioxide is formed as a product. Water vapor is formed and we get the energy. So this is respiration. Respiration is an oxidation of food, right? So I hope you are clear with these topics. Please go through the chapter once, right? The next we have to learn is rusting and burning. So we have learnt now just what is the difference between rusting and burning. So rusting is what? Coating of brown layers over the metal, and burning is what? When the substance burn and it reaches its ignition temperature, it burns. So it is burning, or burning, another name is combustion also. Okay. So now rusting, we need oxygen. Obviously, we need oxygen also, air also, moisture also, water also, right? In the burning, we need only oxygen, not other things. So, similarity, we are learning the similarity. So, here also the oxygen is required, rusting. In burning also the oxygen is required. In rusting also oxide form, which is a brown layer. The burning also oxides form, and that's why the things burn. Okay, then difference. Rusting is a slow oxidation. Means rusting takes not as a burning. When you burn something, the petrol, the diesel, the kerosene, the LPG, obviously it burns in a few seconds. So this is a fast oxidation. But rusting takes place very, very slowly. It may take a year, 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, and many more. In a rusting, small amount of heat and no light is produced. Whereas in burning, heat and light is large amount of heat and light is produced. Right? Both in rusting, both air and moisture are necessary. In rusting, both air and moisture are necessary. Whereas in air, what? Burning. Only air is necessary for burning. Understood? Student, the video is going to be very, very large. So thank you. The next thing we will discover it next video. Thank you.